President Trump attended the White House Correspondents Association dinner and ended his speech by putting on a Trump 2028 hat. It was bad enough that he's a bully and a convicted felon, but now he's a prop comic?
The only funny part of the jokes was watching the crowd's reactions. It was a melange of confusion, boredom, shock, and at one point, a literal existential crisis.
That's one way one person kind of got through that kind of ineffable Trump speech, which is saying something that you almost don't know what to say about it. But the comics do, because remember, this annual tradition, which many people have pointed out has perhaps passed its sell-by date, involves a president trying to do comedy. And different presidents have tried it different ways. Trump, by all expert accounts, failed. And many people in the room, who, of course, are part of a press association that tried to get him to come there, also thought that he failed, that he went over the line, that he was distasteful, but also, and this is the ultimate sin, that he was boring and not funny. So tonight, while we haven't showed much of the actual Trump speech, because it wasn't very newsworthy, I do want to show you, now that the comics have come back on the air this week, how they have tapped their own expertise, their knowledge of comedy and punchlines, to really rip into Trump stepping on to their turf, if you will. Jon Stewart had plenty to work with.
Normally, I'd say don't quit your day job, but in this case, I will make an exception. It's simple. Set up, punchline. Or...
It's every Friday night, every Saturday night. We're going to have fights in front of the White House. But we do have something coming that's, and I'm only kidding. You know, the one thing about, we are going to have Indy 500. Roger Penske's coming in mid-August. Germany, Japan, all these countries, they spend billions and billions of dollars trying to win the Indy 500. On July 4th, we were over at the mall, and it was raining. It was supposed to be really bad again. And we didn't do it the following day, and we didn't do it 2 weeks later. We did it when we were supposed to do it. It was a fantastic celebration.
You set up the premise and then you just walk off into the street?
The first problem is obviously the payoff to a punchline can't be 4 minutes later. Jon Stewart, of course, the ultimate expert on that. But the second point is one that we've seen across many different Trump appearances, which is a rambling, kind of off his game, confused, erratic performance. Imagine if Mitch McConnell or Joe Biden took 4 minutes to get from A to B like you saw there, but in their own style, maybe less voluble than Trump, and people would say, hey, this guy had a really bad night, or is he up to the job? Or what are the aging and health concerns that go along with that? This is bigger than, of course, any one speech or comedy effort coming up short. Trump is now getting ridiculed at his own rallies, and we've seen the joke turning from stuff that he likes to do, and he's, you know, sassy and telling his jokes, to this impersonator who got into that coveted spot behind him and got a lot of laughs. The poll numbers are dragged down by all of the stories we've been covering this week. On Fox, some hosts even sound a bit weary.
The president bet that tariffs would bring American factory jobs back. There's a new report out that says it didn't work.
With higher energy costs right now, and you drop tariffs in on top of that, you have some real inflationary concern.
The big, beautiful bill, which Trump is talking about on the stump, has a terrible reputation. People don't like it. Even Trump's base doesn't like it.
Even the base. And politics is always about more than just the scorecard or the policy record. There is a mood and a vibe, and whether it's even cool anymore to stick with this version of Trump. We can show you a UFC fighter talking to a MAGA podcaster. Keep in mind, both of these folks backed Trump as recently as 24.
It is kind of crazy, dude, how mainstream, how unpopular Trump is. When we're talking about like hardcore Republicans, and even these guys are like, I can't do any more Trump. I feel betrayed. The people that have voted you, that rallied around you, like, you actively just spit in their face.
Blunt, but an assessment many recognize. Democrats now have a double-digit lead in what is the generic congressional ballot. Over in Texas, the Democratic candidate is up 5 points over a hand-picked Trump Republican, again showing that the Trumpier the race, the bigger problem for Republicans. We had fun watching the comic skewer Donald Trump's failures at comedy, but there seems to be more going on there. And I'm not just saying that as, a journalist on TV looking for an angle. I've seen years where the White House Correspondents' Dinner is something we almost completely ignore. But the larger problem he had executing in the speech, communicating, keeping one train of thought, and the larger potential mood in the country, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Breitbart said, politics is downstream of culture. And I think, we talk a lot about policy and politics, but I think MAGA and Trump have lost the culture. Put it quite simply, Trump is not cool anymore. And I know a lot of MS viewers may be like, well, when was Trump ever cool? Well, I would say 18 months ago, you remember after he won the election, you had Hollywood stars like Sly Stallone go down to Mar-a-Lago. You had big country music stars like Carrie Underwood associated herself very much with Trump. Morgan Wallen, just stormed off the set of SNL as a sign that he was not down with the woke comedy of Saturday Night Live and wanted to get back to God's country, the places that had voted for Trump. You had athletes doing the Trump dance in football and UFC. Kristen Pulisic, the U.S. soccer team captain at the time, did it as well. Now nobody's doing the Trump dance. The last time you saw the Trump dance was when Belgium did it after beating the U.S. to mock Trump. You don't see any stars or celebrities or musicians who want to associate themselves with Trump. At his America 250 celebration, he couldn't get anybody to perform. He couldn't even get Milli Vanilli to accept his invitation to be at that America 250 celebration. So it has fallen quite far for Trump. He is no longer seen as cool. He is no longer seen as ascendant. And the MAGA brand is not seen that way either.
I think that makes sense what you're saying. I mean, we have the Washington Post here talking about a lack of enthusiasm for Republicans, even among the traditional MAGA base, that they see as downright, quote, scary. As you said, downstream from the culture, is this a general mood that he is played out, that he didn't just lie to the other guys? Politics can be very much a competition that's zero sum, and people will excuse certain things on their side. I think when the history is written and you look at the inflection points that actually hurt Trump, Epstein, the war, and of course these prices people have to pay, these are all areas where people aren't saying, oh, I never knew he lied. I never knew he exaggerated claims about his Democratic opponents, but rather, oh, he rolls like this on you. He's as disloyal to the people who are loyal to him as he is fierce and angry at everyone else. And while you mentioned our viewers, yes, informed news viewers might say, I noticed that with Michael Cohen, first year out. I noticed that with a bunch of other stuff. The scattershot has gone so wide now that, as mentioned, the podcasters who don't follow every detail, people who are just kind of looking up and noticing big storylines, say, oh, wait, he betrayed them, as that podcaster put it, on everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think what has really happened is Trump, to a lot of Americans, now just looks like a normal politician whom they dislike. When Trump first burst on the scene, what did people say? Oh, he was authentic. He was refreshing. He spoke his mind. He promised to do things that other politicians would not do. Well, we've had 10 plus years of it, and where has it gotten us? We have an affordability crisis. People cannot afford housing. People cannot afford health care. People cannot afford to meet their daily needs. We have a war in the Middle East caused by Trump. We have continuing conflict around the globe, all of which Trump has put gasoline on those fires. So Trump now looks just like a normal politician who said what he said to get power and is now breaking all the promises to the people who voted for him.